Okay, hello. Just before this video starts, I kind of changed like a bit up on the way through my plan, so there was a few problems I had, and towards the end I started getting a bit tired and messing up really stupidly. So I hope you can bear with. But yeah, it all goes through to the end of the video, and I'll fix up all the problems. Hope that's not any inconvenience to you, and I'll continue the video. Okay, hello. Start the next one. This one's gonna be enemy prefab, making it like walk around, making it do the waypoints, and treating my plan. Spawning, and spawning multiple, so like different tiers and stuff like that. Okay, let's get started. Get straight into it. Okay, so let's make a new script. The script will be called AI. Oh, that is showing Explorer. That is not. Create new script. Right click, create. AI. This is basically this is gonna be the heart of the AI. This is gonna make it walk around, do what it needs to do, and reach the finish. If it doesn't get like shot down by towers. Open that up. Don't actually proper. Okay, I got an error. Let me just quickly sort out this error. Okay, never mind. If you get that error, I had that before. It didn't actually stop me from playing it. It's like something to do with your tile map, and I'm so new to tile maps. I don't know. Open up AI script. Hopefully this will open. Here we go. Okay, remove the inside parts. So we don't like that. We know not about that. And get this badoosh. Okay. So things what AI would have. It would have its health. This health, we want to be able to access it from also other scripts as well, so it's gonna be public health. And also our AI is gonna sort of like rotate its head. It's like the front of it, and then when it comes round to the waypoint here, it's gonna rotate. It's gonna still walk and rotate, but it's just how fast it rotates. Depends. Like I have mine really snappy, but I don't know. You might want yours smooth. So float, rotation, speed, and then now we're gonna have an array of the waypoints. Okay, I'm back. Changed my mind. We are gonna do a list, and then we're gonna hope it works. So to do a list, first of all, we want it public. We want to access it on the script and see it in there, so we're gonna make it public. Let's do list, and these, I want to call these triangle brackets. They are greater than and less than. And then so inside here goes what you're going to be storing, and we're going to be storing transforms because this is going to be where each waypoint is, and so we just want the transform, and then you do the name of the list, so icons equals waypoints, and then do equals, and the autocorrect should give you new list, same triangle brackets, transform, and then normal brackets. We're going to have another public variable. This is going to be how fast it's moving, so speed. Well, most of these will be public because when we spawn in, we're going to give them all these variables. It's going to be how much money you get for killing it. Okay, so this is going to be a private one because it's not going to be accessed anywhere, and we're not going to really need to see it. But this is just going to be a whole number of what the last waypoint they're going to is. We'll use this later on, like, to tell which waypoint we should go to, and checking if it's the very last waypoint as well. And then we want the game manager as well. But the reason I'm not making this so we can view it in the inspector is because basically this, we're going to have a prefab which has the script on. So if I just make it an inspector and try and drag it in, every time we spawn a new one, it's not actually gonna come with the game manager attached. So we make this private because we don't really need to see it, and we just have a void start, and then we just assign it at the very beginning. So mine's GM equals game object dot find. So this looks for anything in the scene, and we're gonna call. We know our game manager is attached to this thing called scripts manager. So you just get the exact same name. That's Visual Studio. I want this one. Place that in there. So that's the name of it. And then we need to get the component. So get component, and then the name of the script, game manager, and the line. So basically, this will just fill in that variable for us at the very beginning. Okay, first void. Let's be a void update. So every frame, we want it to. Well, first of all, actually, we're gonna make a void, a little own custom one. Move to waypoint, and this is gonna take a number of which waypoint we're going to. Waypoint. Don't know why I did that. I should ask actually. Okay, and at the very beginning, we're gonna be on every frame, because this is the update. We're gonna be saying move to last, and then also we're gonna do a check in here for the enemy's health. So if it does get below 0, equal or below 0, so health is less than or equal to 0, we want to first give them the money. So that's on our game manager dot money, and then we're going to do plus equals. So that basically adds on to the original value, kill money, and then we're just going to simply destroy this game object. People have been hearing about doing this .game object. You can do that. Game object is the exact same thing, same outcome, just 5 characters less. And yeah, this is 4 characters, but that's including the dot. Okay. So now every frame we'll be calling this, and we're telling it to what waypoint we go to. So very beginning, we want to check if they've reached to the end, because if they've reached the end of the waypoints, we don't want to continue calling this, don't we? So if we do an if that last is equal to waypoints dot count, is it dot count dot length? That's waypoints. I got that mixed up there. Dot count. So this would be like how long. Say if I got 4 waypoints, this would be 4, and if this is equal to 4, then we just want to do. So this just means they've reached the finish without dying. So we want to set the base health is going to be minus that health. So at the very beginning, I said how when the enemy reaches the very end, it take aways the amount of health that the enemy had left. So say if the enemy had like 100 health, we would take 100 health from your base. So that's what this base does, and then we destroy this game object, and then also destroying this game object will destroy the script, so it will stop the script as well. You could add a return underneath if you wanted to, if you're just that worried. Return basically returns all the way back up to here where we called it. Okay. So now, as this comes to the moving part, so we first, like, every frame we want to calculate a distance. So this is going to be a little variable, private variable, a local variable here, which is a float called distance. So this is going to be how far in that frame we're going to be moving. To work that out, we get our speed times time dot delta time. Okay, reading off this, this time dot delta time is just how long it took for, so it says in time, in seconds, it took to complete the last frame. So say if you're doing 60 frames per second, okay, I actually don't know that maths. Say if you're doing 1 frame per second, that would be just 1. So they'll keep the correct movement speed depending on whatever frame rate you're on. And then now with this distance, we know how far they move. We're going to move the transform component. So transform dot position equals vector 3. Oh, that's nice. For that vector 3 dot move towards. So this is just a nice little thing what moves an object towards another object, saves us like so it's moving. So this requires its current location, its target location, and its distance. So our current location is transform dot position. This is a vector 3. This gives where the location we want to move to is in this list, but we won't know. But we know which one they want to go to from here. So go way. Oh, let me do a space. Waypoints. So we need the list. Then in the list we want waypoint. Waypoint and I and last are just the exact same. And then now we want the position, because we've just got a transform component. We now want the position. This gives the vector 3, and then do a comma, and we want the distance we just worked out. So that basically, these two lines here, do the movement towards it. And now this part, we're going to do the rotation. So how it rotates towards it. So first we need a vector 3. This is going to be the vector. I'm naming it vector to target. This is basically working out from you to the next waypoint. So first target is equal to waypoints. So the one we're going to on the list. We need its position because it's got to be a vector 3 minus your position. And then now we want to work out that angle. From that we now need to work out what angle that is. So if that's like 10 degrees, 30 degrees, 100 degrees, whatever, we need to work that out. So that's a float angle equals math f dot tan 2. So now this takes in a y and an x. So we just use our vector to target dot y, what we just worked out up above, on the same space vector to target dot x, and then we're going to times this by math f dot radius to degree. Then after this, we want I don't actually know how to say that. Curator. I don't know. I'm gonna not attempt. Just gonna name it Q. Equals dot angle axis. Creates a rotation. It rotates. So this basically is rotating it around the set axis. We want the angle we had up above, and then vector 3 dot forward. And then the final part, which is actually setting the rotation. So on your component transform dot rotation, that dot slorp, and then so you use your original rotation, and then want Q in that, and then comma time dot delta time, and we're going to times that by rotation speed. Now this confusing part does the rotation, rotates it all for us. And then now, when I'm checking this one, this is basically checking if they've reached the position. So if in the list, so in that list of waypoints, waypoint dot position is the same as your position. If it's the same as your position, we want to go next one, so do last and plus plus. Oh, not capital out, last plus plus. Plus plus just basically adds one onto it. So that goes to the next one. And the next frame it will recall this, so a different waypoint. I could just like not have this in there and just use what last. Good. Okay, now down the very bottom, we're gonna have a little check. So, say for instance, say when we start getting arrows and stuff in there, we want this to check if he's been hit. So we want to void on trigger enter 2D. One thing to pay attention with this on trigger enter is that you got it all the capital letters correct, and also that it has a rigid body on it. Otherwise it won't work and you won't know why. So if other is what's just hit us, the other, its game object and its tag equal to arrow. So no, there's going to be an arrow. Yours might be bullet, whatever. Just whatever you want to name your tag in this tag section here. We're going to take away health off the AI. So health minus equals. Oh, realize we can't do this yet. I'm gonna leave that empty. We have to make another script which has the damage on it. So save that. That won't do anything at the moment. We don't actually have towers yet, so that'll be fine. And that will be the AI script done. So save that. Head into Unity. I want to listen to. Kind of music playing in the background. I don't know what that was playing. Okay, that's done. So we have done the AI, so now we need to actually do the prefab itself. So like, what's the thing going to be moving around? I do not actually have. What do I have? My sprites. I have. Here's my AI. So we want a base object. This base prefab we will use to apply the values on, apply those different things. So we can only use one. Okay, so here are a little example of what our sort of prefab is going to be like. So in our files we're going to have this prefab. So this is a little enemy, this is what this is going to have a script. These are going to be the variables on the script. We're basically going to spawn this into our scene. So it comes into the scene, but then it's got all these values wrong. And then we're going to replace it. We have these set mounts we're going to call. And so this is just going to come and replace it, replace what these current values were into these ones. So the sprite will update, and health and speed will all update. But all we've come from is just this one file here. So we won't have to have different prefabs for like different types of enemies. We'll just change them when they spawn. And then it will just make it just easier, less files. And just makes it a lot more easier and more to customize. Okay, so back into Unity. We're gonna, so when we're doing this prefab, I just use easy enemy, just drag him in there. Just gets a base already in. And we're gonna call this enemy. You can use any of yours, you can just use an empty game object, nowhere. You should remember it's gonna have a sprite renderer and our AI script. Let's get the scripts, AI, objects in there. And we can leave these the same. Leave this all as they are. This will change later on. because now we're using our list, it will fine. So, as you see, mine's already got a sprite. Doesn't matter if it does have sprite, if it doesn't. We should name the enemy. And we're going to make this into a prefab. So if we go to our prefab folders, drag the enemy from your hierarchy in there, and give it a couple seconds, and it should create your prefab, just like how we had with our map. There. So now if I delete this, we can easily just get it back from the prefab, and it's got all these all 0. In the script, we will make it so it changes these values all fine. So let's remove that. So now I got stored in there. We are now, let me quick check. Now because we've done the AI, we can do the spawning. Yeah, sounds good. So scripts. Let's create a new script. Right click, create C# AI spawning. So this will handle the whole wave of spawning, and this is where we'll store what will be in the wave and stuff like that. So if you open that script up, hopefully mine should open fine. There we go. So let's remove this inside stuff here. So, oh, I just actually minimized my script. Okay, that's funny. So, things we will need in this. So we'll need the game manager, because that's gonna store like what wave they're currently on and stuff like that. We're gonna have a transform, which is basically their spawn point, and the different sprites, so we can easily change the sprites once we spawn the enemy in. The enemy prefab, all the different wave like how many are going to be on each wave, waypoints, and later on we'll use UI update. So first, we're going to have a private, well, we're going to have sterilized field so we can see it in the inspector. Private, because no other script's going to need this. Game manager, I like to go GM, just so everything's the same. Another sterilized field, private. This is going to be the spawn point, so where we're going to be spawning it in the world. And because it's going to need its position, we choose to transform. Spawn point. So now we need, these are going to be the sprites. They won't be accessed by anything else, but we can see them in Inspector. And it's just sprite. And so it's going to be easy, sprite, normal. Come on, if I got it normal, medium. I'm just doing medium. Medium, sprite, and hard, sprite. Oh, capital S, sprite. So these can be all the different sprites. So what we can attach onto that one prefab. We're going to have a public, because it can be accessed other places. And this will be the prefab, so it's a game object. An enemy, and I can't spell for some reason. Enemy prefab. I do it this way because it's just easier. Some people like say if you put it in a resource folder and then call the folder with like speech marks and stuff like that. I just like to set it here. It makes it a lot easier. And then we're gonna have what we're gonna have. I've got it now. Okay, we're gonna have a list of say a list of how many array. Okay, this is gonna be a public array of how many enemies are gonna spawn each wave itself. So how many of easy, just do easy enemy, no, easy per wave. Medium per wave. Hard basically, we can easily choose how many we want of each enemy per the wave, and then because it's an array, we can make loads of amounts of arrays. We can have 50, 100, 200, 300, how many ever arrays you want. How many arrays, how many enemies, waves you want. I'm getting tired. Okay, and then we are going to have a list for the waypoints. So I'm actually going to put this above here. So it's going to be a public, and same as list. You can actually just go to your AI script, copy this, and paste in there if you're lazy like me. And that we will add on to this later on, probably for UI updates. Okay, so we're going to get off with the first spawning. So when we press a button, it's hidden by the tile map. Oh no, there it is. The wisp wave button. If they're not in a wave, we want it to call this a public void in here to spawn the first one. So void spawn first. Oh, spawn first. So basically, when we press it, it's going to start running through this. I'll change that from character to small b. So if we go to our game manager, we're going to add a true or false. It needs to be public because lots of other scripts can access this. Called in wave. This is going to be saying if they're in the wave or not. So if they are currently in a wave and this has been pressed, that shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be able to press this button when they're currently in a wave. This is equal to true. We want to just return back and stop the rest of the script. So we should put a return. 2 equals, forgot about that. Mine's saying this is redundant. There is another way you can do this. If you remove, say you remove this button key like that, that means if it's true. Then if you want to check if it's false, you should put an exclamation mark at the front. Let's see if it's false. And then we're just going to return. As I don't have the speech marks hit the brackets like that. It does the same thing as long as it's one line. I'll put the bracket in just so it makes it better understandable. Okay, so basically if they're in a wave, we don't want to run this, so just return and stops it, stops it all. But if they're not in a wave, it's going to go through the rest of it. So we can put else in brackets, and then so the game manager, we want to add one onto the wave, so do add plus plus, and then we want to now set in wave to true. So now we're in the wave. This is where comes the spawning part. So each array, these can have numbers. So we're going to first check the easy. So the first level enemies going to spawn, they're going to be easy, then it's going to be medium, then it's going to be hard. So we're going to check if the easy per wave, and then we need to go which value. We want to go to the first one, but we're going to just have it to well, this won't always be the first one. This will be the first one of that wave. So this can be any wave. So to work out which one we want to go to, we're going to get the wave number. So wave number. And then we're going to -1. And then we're going to check if that position is greater than 0. And then the 2 normal brackets there. So the reason we do the wave -1 is because this array starts from 0. But our waves start from 1. So we're going to offset that, so do take away 1. So say if we're on wave 4, we want to get a position 4 on this, but position 4 is position 3 because you start from 0. 0 is 1. It's a bit confusing. So we give it the 4 minus 1. So if that number, that whole number, is higher than 0, so that means we want at least more than one enemy, well, at least more than 0 enemies to spawn of easy on that wave. So now this is where we spawn the prefab. So we first have, we're going to set a local game object variable so we can edit it. Let's call this last spawn, and equals, and as instantiate, spawns it in, put our prefab in there, and then we do as game object, and then the line. So now this is spawned it in the world. We now want to send its position to the spawn point. So the last spawn needs to get its transform component with the position equals spawn point dot position, because this is already a transform, so we don't need to do the transform here. So that should set it to the spawn point, and then now we need to feed in all the waypoints. So last spawn, this last one should spawned. We need to get the component our AI script. So just get a component, and then put the name of the script in there, and then we want to access that list we made here, this list here. So dot waypoints. Then we want to set it to the same as this list, because this list has all the positions, but this one doesn't. So we should put waypoints. That should, if it doesn't, we'll come back and fix it. And now this is where we give it the different individual settings. So for easy, I'm gonna have it so my character's health is like at 100. Well, enemy's health is at 100. So we've got to get the AI script, and then we want to change its health to 100. This depends on how you want your enemies, how much health and stuff. But this is what I'm gonna have mine as, and then I'm gonna set its speed to 3. So dot speed equals 3. And then the money you get from killing it, dot kill money, is equal to 50. And then now we're going to assign this sprite. So the last spawn, instead of getting the AI component, we want to get sprite renderer. And then we want to get the sprite variable inside of that, and equal to easy sprite. And then now we've given it all these values, we want to say we've spawned this one, so let's take away 1 from this array. So we'll do easy per wave, then we'll do the same, we'll get the wave num minus 1, and then we're just going to do minus minus, which is the opposite of plus plus, so take away is 1. So that is pretty much the same we're going to do for easy, medium and hard. So if I type in else if, now instead of easy we're going to do medium per wave, gm dot wave num minus 1 greater than 0. Now instead of retyping this all out, we can just copy and paste. Copy, paste. And because our enemy prefab is going to be the exact same, saves us from changing that. The spawn point is going to be the same, just the health. So my medium, going to have the same health, but a bit faster. So I'm going to change it to 6. And you're going to get a bit more money for him. You're going to get 100. And change the sprite to medium. And then change this to medium per wave. That, and then we have another else if. Else if hard per wave. Then the wave number minus 1, mine's become red. Ignore that. It's greater than 0. And then paste it in again. And change semi-hard is actually I'm gonna make this have double health, 200. Should I have 150? This guy's gonna have 200 health. Speed is gonna be 9. When you get is 200. Change the sprite to hard sprite. Change this to hard per wave. So I'll do that. That will do the spawning for the very first one. That run through the first one. But then we want to spawn multiple, like, for this array will end. So wait, let me just save this and see if this all works. So we've got major public void. I'll let ENT compile again. Okay, so now to trick this AI spawning onto something. What we're gonna have this on is a empty game object here with a collider. So if I just create a new empty game object, called it spawner, spawner. I'm gonna drag this under script manager just so it's a bit organized. I'm gonna reset its transform and then move the Z to -1. And now you gotta drag this to where you want it to sort of trigger for the next spawn point. So for instance, the enemy's gonna spawn out here, move to waypoint 1, go over this spawn point and spawn the next one. So they walk over that and spawn the next one. So mine's gonna be here. I'm gonna line mine up currently, so change this to that. And then on this empty game object, we want a box collider. Remember, it's gonna be 2D because it's a 2D game. And then if we do edit collider, just make it the width of your track. It shouldn't really matter, but you never know in case something might be a bit off. And then we want to add the AI spawning script. And then now, under the script manager, we want to create another empty. This is going to be the spawn point. Spawn point. This is going to be where they spawn. So I'm just going to move it in line with the 1, a bit out here. So it's got to be outside of this box collider. So I can have it here, like 1 far away from it. Or we want them to be a bit more spread out. But the distance, say if I quickly add these icons so you can tell. So 1 point, let's make this one a green circle, this one, and then the spawner can be a red circle. This distance here is going to be the distance your enemies are going to be away. So if I quickly just sort out this so it's in line, this is going to be how far your enemies are away from each other. So you choose how far you want where that is. And now if we go to our spawner, the one with the box collider, and we drag in the stuff we need here. So script manager's got the game manager on it. Spawn point, this is spawn point here. Easy sprites, this is where you get your sprites folder. And just drag in easy into there. Hard and medium. And then enemy prefab, so we go into our prefab folder, drag in enemy. Now waypoints, so if we open this up, for me I have 4, so why put 4? This depends on how many waypoints you have on this one, but I have 4, so I'm putting 4, and then you just drag them in from, see what I mean about, I was talking about this start from 0, so I put my 1 and 0, 2, 3, 4. So this will feed to the AI this, so they know where to go, because they won't know where to go. This here is how many we're gonna have per wave. So let's say we're gonna have 10 waves. 10. Actually, no, let's make it simple. 3 waves. 3 waves. All of these can be the exact same, otherwise it will produce errors. On wave 1, this will be all element 0. I'm going to have 3 easy, 0 medium, 0 hard. And then wave 2, I'm going to have 0 medium, 0 easy, 3 medium, 0 hard. And then wave 3, I'm going to have 0 easy, 0 medium, and 3 hard. And just to actually prove a point, I'm going to change it to 4 waves and all of them. You can have multiple on each. So for instance, on my 4th wave, I have 3 of the easy, 3 of the medium, and 3 of the hard. So you can mix and match. So now once you set that up, I think we should be good to go. If I press play. Oh, actually, before, if you go to your button, we need to assign this button to that public void we created. So if you can just click on it, or you can find where it is. If you click on the button, scroll down to this on click. So when you click it, we'll add. We know the script of spawner is on spawner. So drag spawner into there, change function, and AI spawning, we want to spawn first. Now if we press play, so it should, if I quickly minimize this canvas, I press this, spawn a new one. There you go, enemy clone spawn. And now it's heading through all our waypoints. If I go to scene, when it gets to the very end, it should, yay, it destroys itself. Oh, I just noticed that it updated our our health, our base health. So if I restart the game, our health's on 0 because I didn't change it. So spawn it. Wave 1 updated it as well. Then when we get to the very end, it will minus the amount of health this guy had, and he had 100. Minus 100 now. At the moment, I think it's all fine. I think, yeah, we can't spam click it because of we have you return at the very top. Is it? We have this return at the top, so it stops you spawning multiple. But now we want the rest to spawn. We don't want just one enemy coming through. So with this box collider we added on spawner, we're gonna have a check for if on trigger enter. But the first thing I've just thought of is this prefab for our enemy needs to have a collider and a rigid body. So click on in the prefab here, physics. You can add you can sort of add in any, I would say a box, but depending on what your enemies are, you add in depending collider, and then add in a rigid body, because for some reason when you have on trigger, the thing has to have a rigid body. And I'm just going to change this to, well actually, let me check my other project quickly. Enemy. Okay, yeah, it's dynamic, and so just keep it in dynamic, we just change it so it's got no gravity, because it's a top-down game. We don't want the guy just to fall down, even though it's top-down. And that should be all good. So, now we've added this rigid body and collider, you can check for on trigger. So if we head over to our scripts, into our AI spawning script, we want at the bottom outside of this one, which is up here. If you're in Visual Studios or like any other one, except I don't think Mono Develop does it, you've got little arrows next to it. You can just minimize it. So we want an on trigger enter 2D. 1, we used one earlier. We didn't actually finish it off, but we started it. So for me, I've got an autocorrect. If you're in Visual Studio, I think you can just press tab, but on trigger enter 2D, you should make sure the capital like T, O, E, and the D, and then Collider 2D, and other. So now, this is checking what, if something's just collided with it, we get what has collided in other. So we want to check if the other .gameObject.tag is equal to enemy. So just in case something else like an arrow hits spawn point, we don't want to spawn an extra one. So if it's an enemy who touched it, we want to redo spawn first. So we're going to do, we're just going to copy this middle part here. So from the if statement down to here. So just copy it, paste, and that's done. That should be it. If we save the script, go back to Unity. Is it done? Oh, nope, still not done. Still loading. There we go. So now for us play, we should I think we got 3 at the beginning. Hey, didn't work. Ah, okay, as we see here, he can't get past the collider, and that is my fault because I forgot to tick under our spawner. We need to tick is trigger. Now, if we do it, we have only spawns 1. That is great, because I wanted it totally to just spawn 1. Okay, that's not working. Okay, let's try and figure out why this is not working. So we've assigned everything correctly here. There's going to be 3 on this. If I press play and start the wave, we see it's taken away the 1, so there's 2 remain spawn. But it's not detecting. So if we go to our prefab, check our enemy, we can see it's untagged, but we check for a tag for enemy. So we need to add a new tag for enemy. There isn't one here, so do add tag, create new one, called enemy. It will be the exact same as it is in the script. Now go back onto your enemy and add a tag on. And now press play. And we've seen the hierarchy of them spawn. There we go, 3 spawned. And they collide with each other. One kind of hit each other and rotate. Okay, so if we want to stop them like, colliding with each other, we need to like do a ignore, physics ignore. So if we head into our AI script, mine's right here, so I'll just do right click, edit script. Because this is the one on the AI. We can do under this if other dot gameObject.tag equal to enemy. So if we've collided with another enemy, but we don't want to like get like stopped by them and rotated and stuff, we would just do physics 2D dot ignore collision, and this takes in 2 colliders, the 2 colliders you want to ignore. So we got other, this is a collider 2D as it says at the very end, and then we want this one the script's attached on to, so you do transform or gameObjects array dot get component collider 2D. So this will go through all the possible 2D colliders, and that should be good. So I'll save that. Head back into Unity. and spawn them in. Hopefully, now they shouldn't. Oh, they're still doing it. Okay. Interesting. I was wrong. Okay, I do not. That was odd. Okay, let's try going on enemy and setting to the collider to is trigger as well. Oh wait, I think I realised. Okay, yeah, that works. That does the job. It's sort of going between just because I have this spawn point so close. If I moved it a bit further away, it'll be fine. The reason why that wasn't working before is I'm doing on trigger enter. On trigger enter will only run if it's ticked as trigger. And yeah, it wasn't trigger. But then now as it is a trigger, we don't actually need this anymore. Which me being stupid. Okay, save that. Go back into TNT just to test it. So, oh, okay. So now we should have the first load of the first wave spawning. And now, because I moved it further away, they're a bit small spread out. And they should go through and then subtract the health when they reach the very end. Oh, I clicked down and it stopped. There you go. 300. Minus 300. So now let's quickly just get it so when they all are dead, it says that's the end of the wave. Now you can click on the button again. So in that we're gonna go to scripts, game manager, open. Okay, so we're gonna have in a void update. So every frame we're gonna check if we can find a game object dot find. We can do find or find with tag. Tag is enemy. Oh, that's not showing enemy. And if it's equal to null and we're in wave. Okay, so if this part here is if the finding of any enemies with the tag, any things with the tag enemy is equal to null, so basically there isn't any, we couldn't find any, and they're in the wave, that means it's the end of the wave. So we do in wave equals false. There you go, false. So they're not in the wave anymore. They finish the wave. Save, control us that. Go back into Unity. And this should mean that we can do all our waves. So, first lot. The first enemies are spawning. I can't click to spawn anymore. Just wait for them to reach the end. You can see 0 here. So now we should get 3 medium. So click on it. There you go. 3 spawned, and these are the medium ones. They're faster, and they should take away more health. Yeah. And now 3 hard should spawn. Even faster. And then last wave. This is where all 3 different tiers. And see, they don't close each other, that's fine. And go through and take away all that health. Minus 2,700 health. So that'll be it for this video. So we have nice wave spawning. These are all the different ways. We can easily change them, add more enemies, and we've put our AI spawning, AI script, doing pretty well. Next video we will be doing, what will we be doing? we'll be doing the turrets. Oh, so we get them placing from prefab, getting the tile mapping grid correct and stuff. Should be good. See you guys in that video.